Can I ask you about TikTok? I know I brought you on to talk about the AFD, but the TikTok thing popped up today in the media space. So apparently, the Trump administration has gotten a deal to sell TikTok to um, pro Zionist group. And the reason why I'm saying pro Zionist, I'm not saying that out the blue. So early on, they were making the argument that part of the reason that the U.S. has turned so fervently against the Israeli direction, and just to back that up, I don't want you to take my word for it. These are where's it? I have all of these things open. These are polling documents that recently came out right here. 32% of the U.S. back Israel's military action in Gaza. This is a new low. You have another one. Support for Israel continues to deteriorate, especially among Democrats and young people. By the way, this is also many conservatives. If you look at Tucker Carlson, apparently even Charlie Kirk was twisting on this issue. Megyn Kelly, you have some people who have started to question this idea of the genocide. Less than half of the U.S. is now sympathetic towards Israelis. Here's another one. Americans used to be steadfast in their support for Israel. Those days are gone. So part of their rationale was, well, TikTok is the issue. TikTok is showing all of these videos that Israelis themselves are making of killing Palestinians. This looks bad. We don't want TikTok showing it. This is the ADL CEO, Jonathan Greenblatt, when he was talking to the Knesset, made the point of saying, we need to capture TikTok. Well, it seems that they've done just that. They've captured TikTok. And the new owners of TikTok will be Oracle's Larry Ellison, in addition to other right here. Among the investors, which would be expected to own roughly 80% stake in TikTok, with Chinese shareholders owning the rest, are Oracle, Andreessen Horowitz, Silver Lake. The sources said the new consortium would also operate a majority of the U.S. board, including a member appointed by the Trump administration. To make this even worse, you get this article. What is his name? Where is it? Right here. So this is the other one. Ellison, who is a close to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and donated heavily to Israeli military through nonprofit Friends of Israel's Defense Force. In 2017, he gave the organization its biggest ever donation, $16.6 million. Oracle, of course, did not respond. So they needed to capture TikTok. They got it. There's like, congratulations, you were able to get what you wanted. And this was also helped by Joe Biden. So this is not purely a Trump thing. Joe Biden signed the law that said China couldn't own more than 20% of TikTok. I mean, what do you think of this? I mean, for all intents and purposes, many of these people have connections to the deep state because they have military contracts and everything else. And so this sounds like TikTok in the US is just going to become a propaganda outlet for whatever model, well, in this specific case, Israel, because in their minds, they need to capture the media. Give me your thoughts on this. This seems,
well,
I want to use the term depraved, but
I've got a lot of thoughts. I mean, for one thing, there's no doubt that Silicon Valley is going far to the right. I mean, some of what's coming out of the tech elite is really quite extraordinary. I mean, guys like Curtis Yarvin, who was kind of Peter Thiel's in-house philosopher, and Musk himself, by the way,
yes,
are preaching. And I'm very careful with the word fascism, but they are preaching a quasi-fascist doctrine, and that is influential throughout the tech elite, and part of that ideology is support for Netanyahu. Because Israel, by the way, is a tech power and therefore is closely integrated into Silicon Valley. But right. More importantly, the Zionism is a major part of this far right worldview, which is now hegemonic in the tech elite. So it's not very surprising that they want to capture TikTok and that they want to tame TikTok and try to tamp down on this kind of popular revulsion against what Israel is doing. So it's not it's the deep state, is the conspiracy. Yeah, it's the deep state. Yeah, it's a kind of conspiracy. But it simply is a sign of how this one very important sector of the bourgeoisie, and by the way, the most high performing, the most dynamic uh, sector of the ruling
Yeah.
class, is just galloping to the radical right, and in so doing is completely solidarizing with Trump and all that he's up to, and solidarizing with Netanyahu as well. So that's how I see it.
This is wild though, because if you go back, let's say to Obama era, you would have thought that tech was firmly in the
Yeah,
grasp of
yeah,
Democrats.
yeah.
Why do you think that flipped so fervently?
That's really a fascinating question. Tech is still socially liberal. I mean, there are a lot of gay people. There, they a lot of pot. Steve Jobs used to drop acid
Yeah.
and other stuff like that. So they are liberal in that respect. Um, but Biden made certain mild efforts to restrain tech and AI, which provoked a furious a response among the tech elite. People like Peter Thiel and Curtis Yarvin gained more and more influence, and the elite has gone rushing in a quasi-fascist direction, and that is simply undeniable. I've read Curtis Yarvin. Curtis Yarvin is his main inspirer is an English philosopher named Nick Land, and Land has a few books out, one of which is called Dark Enlightenment, kind of a pun, but it's quite fascinating. Land is a very powerful writer, and his most famous line is not democracy does not lead to doom, democracy is doom. In other words, democracy simply means unleashing the mob so it can loot society and turn productive Western countries into Somalias. That is
obviously not.
That is his thesis in a nutshell, and that is capturing the imagination of the much of the tech elite.
But that thesis is nonsense on print, and we can look around and see that thesis is nonsense. When you get like 93% of the stock market owned by the top 10%, that's obviously not the case. Like, meaning it's the opposite of that. We've been able to capture. Yeah, it's outlandish. And Peter Thiel looks like he watches puppies get killed for entertainment. He is terrifying. I saw him in an interview, and they asked him, does he think humanity should survive? And he didn't know how to answer the question. He was,
that's really this transhumanist movement, which says that humanity need not survive. What's important is intelligence. And if machine intelligence is outstripping human intelligence, which is what AI proponents maintain, then what's important is that machines triumph, machines and their a few small elite of human makers triumph over the rest of humanity. So it's Silicon Valley fascism at its purest. I mean, it's a dictatorship by AI wielding tech entrepreneurs. I think it's nonsense. I think that's not what AI is, but that is the thinking that seems to be taking hold.
Yeah, right now this is like large language models. This is not exactly general intelligence in the way that I think they're thinking about it.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Also, there's something terrifying about that. Like, it's one thing when jobs were worked by workers, meaning you had somebody driving the trucks, you had somebody unloading the docks, you had somebody doing et cetera. And then you get to this thing where these billionaires, for all intents and purposes, want machines to do all of these jobs, which I get. It's a capitalistic system, right? You can maximize your profit by firing a worker and putting in a machine to do that particular job. I don't know who's going to buy their product, but whatever, this is their thinking. Workers lose control, in a sense, meaning there is no work stoppage when things go wrong. There is no ability to protest in the sense of we're calling a general strike or stuff like that. Meaning, it seems like in their fevered dreams, their fetish is to get to a point where the capability of workers to have any control in the context of the system, meaning this system, disintegrates, or at the very least diminishes to such a degree where all things being equal, machines, AI, all of these other things can effectively take over the responsibilities of work, whereas workers themselves no longer have that input, that power to do anything about it. Do you think is that too cynical of the thinking? Because that sounds exactly like what these guys are thinking about with dark enlightenment and all this other nonsense.
Oh no, I think it's entirely accurate. I think they're self-defeating, however. Look at the Industrial Revolution started in what, the 1760s, 1770s,
Yeah.
with the first steam engines, and since then, capability increased hundreds, thousands of times. But rather than putting workers out of work, the working class now numbers in the billions. So all that machinery, all that technological investment, created a hugely powerful working class, and essentially added to the power of the working class. So material investment does not reduce the power of workers. It really winds up increasing the power of workers. That is the essence of the Marxist dialectic. If you read the Communist Manifesto, it's kind of funny because it opens up with this tribute to capitalism. Capitalism has accomplished more than the 7 wonders of the world. It is this powerful transformative force. But it creates the working class. It sows the seeds of its own destruction by creating a working class, which in its growing power eventually reaches a point where it is able to overthrow the capitalist class and to use all this industry for the benefit not of a tiny elite, but of humanity at large.
But that's theory. And if you think about it, well, just to make the argument, one of the back during the Nixon era, do you remember when Nixon was doing the reverse income tax, where he kind of put it out there?
Yeah.
The reason that he put that out there, and you correct me if I'm wrong, was because economists at the time was looking at this convergence of workers effectively being unnecessary. More people were going to the workforce, including women. Well, just let me make the argument.
Yeah.
More people were going into the workforce, in a sense, wanting more workers' rights. Technology was moving to a point where you needed less people to do various jobs. And if you think about it, most jobs are BS jobs. Most jobs are creating, it's almost like digging a hole and having somebody else fill the hole. If you get rid of those, which you probably could, especially through automation and those type of things. If I create a system that would allow somebody to walk into 7-Eleven, pick up their product, the card is automatically scanned and they can walk out. I don't need the cashier. I may need one security guard. I don't need the cashier. If you look at supermarkets today, where you used to have 10, 12, 15 people running lines at grocery stores, okay, well, you might have 3 today, and you have automatic checkout. It's automated. Same thing with truckers. You're going to get to a point where hundreds of thousands of people who are driving trucks, taxis, Ubers, when that stuff becomes automated, which it will, that car will drive to the gas station automatically when he needs gas, and it will go and automatically pick up the person. You may need somebody periodically to clean it, but you won't need somebody to drive it. This is removing hundreds of thousands of jobs out of the workforce. And this is just basic technology that we can see now. You may need doctors and nurses. You may need artists. But those people are going to lose their jobs.
And believe me, even doctors and nurses are not invulnerable to these forces. Yeah. We have AI reads X-rays.
Yeah.
So used to have a highly trained technician to read an X-ray. Now it's done by machine.
You make my point.
Well, Yeah, that's a shovel is a great invention. If before all you had was a stick, then
Right.
an iron shovel is a small miracle. And so an iron shovel is to a stick what AI was to an ordinary adding machine. There's no doubt
Yeah.
about it. But I said before, the working class has gone from a few thousand people in the north of England, the industrial proletariat, to billions of people across the world. And so all this investment has made workers stronger rather than weaker. The working class doesn't know its own power yet, but it will discover that. And the goal is to take these marvelous devices and to harness them for the benefit of society. Look, I mean, capitalism is killing the world. I mean, global warming is a kind of a collective extinction.
Yeah.
So I didn't vote for that. You didn't vote for
I
that.
did vote for that.
Neither did billions of people in the third world. And if those billions of people ever get the vote and the glorious day comes when we have a worldwide election to determine climate policy, there's no doubt as to what the outcome will be. People will vote for rational policies to prevent global warming from killing them and their families and their societies and everyone else. So I mean, that is the goal. And democracy is stalled at this moment in a small number of wealthy nation states, but it's got to be extended and carried to a whole new level for humanity to find a way out of this dead end.
But you would agree with me, though, that that's not really a repudiation. I understand that it's employed. We go through revolutions. You may have, let's say, feudalism, capitalism, industrial revolution. Well, many of these people weren't employed up until the point where we reached this kind of industrial revolution where all of these people were needed. I'm saying that we are also reaching this new tipping point where these people are not going to be needed. And society has no way to compensate for it. Hell, maybe that may bring on a different revolution in that case where people start losing their jobs because those people are no longer necessary in the workforce. I guess I'm making an argument that many of the jobs that we have are BS jobs. They're paper pushers, things that don't necessarily need to exist. What was that book? Bullshit Jobs, I think was the name of the book, that was going into all of these fields and professions that didn't need to exist. And that on some level, this may just be policy in order to soak up a workforce that is fundamentally unnecessary. Even the military can only soak up so many people in regards to society. We may be reaching a tipping point where quantitatively we can see a reduction in the number of people who are needed in jobs and who are needed in work. I'm saying that tipping point is coming. That's not, I used to be a software engineer. And in my job, just working at one company, I was able to eliminate like 3 or 4 jobs. Now they moved those people to somewhere else, but they didn't need to move those people somewhere else. They could have just fired those people. They were just better people where they didn't want to fire people who were on their workforce. But I was writing software that was eliminating something that 3 or 4 people used to do in the mornings and in the evenings. And it was giving them information in a way that was better, faster, and more accurate than what those human beings themselves were doing. I am just a BS programmer or a software engineer. Can you imagine what that looks like on a macro scale across companies, across the entirety of society in the United States? That is traumatic. I hope you get my point. Like, I agree with you that capitalism required those workers at one point. But I guess I'm making the argument that in the same rationality of a capitalist, of how do I maximize my profit? Well, I can either put a person who wants $15 an hour to make a hamburger, or I can make a burger machine that will automatically do it. I can have a cashier to take the order, or I can have a machine that would allow a person to put in their order, and they just walk up and they just go, and one person gives it to them. These are quantitative changes that are taking place across our society, even abroad. You can see it.
Yeah, I think yes, of course, what you're saying is correct. I mean, there's the society, humanity. this seems to be poised on the verge of some kind of die-off. I mean, reproduction rates are plunging. I mean, South Korea, in some ways, an amazingly productive society. The birth rate is down to, I think, 1.3 per woman, which is about 40% below stable population. And in Seoul, I think it's down to 0.7 per woman, which is like 2/3 below reproduction. So South Korea is facing in a generation a dramatic loss of population. Japan's in the same boat, but you see this worldwide. In fact, what we see is that, is that 30, 40, 50 years ago, the talk was all about overpopulation. Now what we see is the exact opposite, where the global population has actually probably in the last year or two ceased growing and is now heading downward. That's just basic population. Now, since in 1900, the global population, I think, was something like 1.2 billion. Today, it's 8 billion.
Yeah.
And despite fantastic inequalities and the atrocious way that billions of people in the third world are treated, the fact is that 8 billion people today are living far, far better, unimaginably better than 1.2 million were living in 1900. I mean, ordinary diseases can be cured, with a snap of the fingers. 4 out of 5 children don't die before reaching the age of 21. People in advanced economies, living into your 80s or even your 90s is now normal. Before, you were lucky to make it into your 70s. So there has been a dramatic increase in population and a dramatic improvement in living standards. But there are signs that incredible curve, that 120-year curve, is now turning downwards. And I think that it shows that capitalism simply is turning into this hugely destructive force, where technological investment is now being used for the enrichment of an ever smaller minority at the expense of the vast majority. And the vast majority is being sent into a tailspin as a consequence.
Agreed. No, I agree with you on that. I mean, when the goal is to maximize profit as opposed to human life,
you get a lot of profit, and you get a diminution in human life.
Yeah. Daniel, you are fantastic, man. I am so glad you was able to join. Oh, AFD. We're supposed to talk about the AFD. So Germany, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It's been a while since I spoke to you, so catching up, I kind of enjoy it. German and Chancellor Merz was seen yesterday crying about quote unquote anti-Semitism that was supposedly taking hold in Germany. Now, mind you, their definition for anti-Semitism is just, I don't want you to kill Palestinians, but we'll put that to the side for a moment. So they had an election in his area. I'm trying to find the exact name of the area.
It's the North Rhine-Westphalia. It's a state, a Land, as they call it in Germany, in northwestern Germany. It accounts for about 21 or 22% of the German population. It's the biggest state or Land in Germany. And these were local elections, and the AFD, the far right pro-Trump party, tripled its vote from 5 years ago.
Now, Merz was able to get 33%, or his party was able to get 33%. But as you point out, they've tripled their vote. These guys are questioning very loudly, why are we still in this war? Why can't we use Russian oil? Our industries are collapsing and closing. And apparently the public is saying, hey, these guys have a point.
By the way, the Die Linke party, which is the far left party, also increased its vote by about 20%. That's still, I think, went from 5.3 to 6 point something. I forgot the exact number. Yeah, the story is in some ways the same. The U.S. is more advanced in this regard, but you know, all through Europe, the far right is surging. Portugal, Spain, Italy, they're in power. Germany, France. I mean, France. I mean,
Collapse.
the Macron is in a state of crisis. They have got a new prime minister, and but the sense is that it's just a waiting game that Marine Le Pen's party will take power in 2027. Scandinavia, the same thing is happening. Poland, the same thing is happening. The trend is striking throughout Europe. And by the way, they're all saying the same thing about Charlie Kirk. That Charlie Kirk was killed by an out of control left. You know, it's all the left's fault. There must be a crackdown on the left, et cetera, et cetera. That's Viktor Orban, the president of Hungary, said that recently. So it's the same, they're singing the same tune, and the trends are precisely the same as in the U.S. And here, as you know, I mean, Trump is really preparing. He's quite clearly preparing some kind of massive crackdown.
Yes. No, agreed. It's funny how they fashioned him into a weapon. He's not even a person anymore. He's just a weapon. It's what do you think? I mean, because from my point of view, if they're using that and they're boosting that rhetoric for a reason. I mean, for one, I don't know how effective that's going to be in Germany. I get the sense that the AfD, I was looking for the stats. Germany has had mass layoffs over the course of the last, for one, they're in recession. Two, they've had mass layoffs, and this has been taking place month after month after month, where the company either has been closing up or they've been firing people from their industries. Now, Germany is supposedly the beating heart of Europe in regards to industry. That I strongly suspect that is far more pressing than any of this Charlie Kirk stuff.
Well, I think it's all part of the same package. The North Rhine-Westphalia is in the heart of what they call the blue banana. The blue banana is a industrial belt stretching from London and Liverpool on down through into northern Italy, Milan. This is the heart of West European industry, finance, education, technological development. It's very, very powerful. And Westphalia, Northern Rhine-Westphalia is smack dab in the middle of it. Yeah. And now it's catching the AFD disease.
German companies announced 125,000 industrial job cuts in just 6 weeks. If that was in the U.S., there would be 520,000 jobs cut in 6 weeks.
Yeah,
that's astonishing.
Well, the U.S. is on the verge of recession. The economy is slowing down. There's a huge bubble on Wall Street, much of it fueled by AI, but I'm very skeptical. I wrote an article back in, I think, February about the Trump boom. That there was he was igniting a politico-economic boom involving crypto, AI, and Trump's political fortunes as well. Yeah. And I'm just, I think that maybe I should write a sequel talking about the coming Trump bust. That I think that AI is a huge bubble. I think that Wall Street is grossly overvalued, and I think that Trump himself is he's not going to fall, but it's going to take a very grim turn. So I think that the outlook is very, very bleak.
Yeah, I was looking at the numbers on inflation in the United States.
Yeah,
and they're through the roof. I mean, and if you're looking at, I agree, recession, dead ahead. Donald Trump literally fired the person who was doing the numbers because he didn't like what the numbers said. Numbers were the numbers. But if you're looking at things that people have to actually buy, so right here, coffee is up 26%, beef is up 14%, oranges are up 17%, bananas are up 6%, chicken is up 6%, chocolate chip cookies, I don't know who put that there, but fair enough, 5%, potato chips 4%, milk 4%, the average worker's pay is only up 2%.
Yeah.
So basically, we are standing still. We're losing money
And also
while
housing. Don't forget housing.
in
That
housing.
is that is really the explosive thing. I mean, people are being killed by rampant speculation in real estate values, which is just driving housing costs far beyond the reach of the typical worker. So this is creating political turmoil, throughout the world, Mexico City, Ireland, and it's also fueling, by the way, the anti-immigrant fervor, because these people are being told that houses are expensive because immigrants are taking them.
Yeah.
It's complete BS. But nonetheless, the line resonates because.
Yeah. Daniel, I have deeply appreciated this conversation. I swear to God, I always enjoy these conversations with you. I know we were supposed to talk about the AFD. We did talk about it, to be fair. But kind of one thing led to another in regards to the beginning. So thank you for going along that journey with me.
Great.
Always appreciate you, man. I really do. And just
Great.
so the audience will know, Daniel Lazare. Daniel Lazare is, come on. Just had to think up. Daniel Lazare is an independent journalist, author, best known as a critic of the U.S. Constitution, American politics, government, and social policy in general. He's written several books, including The Frozen Republic, The Velvet Coup, America's Undeclared War. You can find Daniel on thepermanentrevolution.com, Daniel Substack, Daniel Lazare Substack.com. You can find him on both of those where he writes articles.
Permanentrevolution.org.
Oh, .org. Okay, I'll change that now.
Okay.
Permanentrevolution.org.
That's
I wanted to get that right.
permanent-revolution.org.
Okay. Daniel, you are fantastic, man. Thank you for this.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. And by the way, just to make sure, Daniel-Lazare.substack.com.
I think it's Daniel Lazare. No, if you just do a Google search for Daniel Lazare Substack, you'll find it very fast.
Okay, I'll put it in the thing when I look it up. Thank you for this. You be safe, man. Thank
Same
you.
Same to you.
Have a good one. Bye-bye. All right. I always enjoyed those conversations with Daniel. I hadn't had the opportunity to talk to him in a while. But as you can see, Daniel can talk about pretty much anything. He has been very strident in his criticism of the way that the U.S. system is kind of organized and the negative outcomes of that particular system. So that's a taste of it here. You can check out his books to get, I guess, more in-depth details of his argument on those